The JMU Dukes. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. This episode brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward Mazda. Move and be moved. All right, special edition on Saturday. It is almost Saturday as I'm recording this. JMU comes up short against Louisville 28-14. JMU going with a 2-quarterback system, and that JMU Dukes defense is really good. I mean, really good. All right, let's go with, we'll wait for the 2-quarterback system in the second segment. This was a coulda, shoulda, woulda. All right. They could have won this football game and maybe should have won this football game if they would have made a couple of plays. The defense only gave up 2 plays. Let's see what the Louisville total offense was. Did Louisville have 300 yards of offense in this game? Louisville had 264 yards of offense. We're going to get out the calculator. 264 yards of offense. All right. Isaac Brown had a 78-yard run. Now, this all counts. I get it. All right. But I just want you to know how good the defense was. Isaac Brown had a 78-yard touchdown run that put the game away. All right. Let's see here. Now we're down to 186. They had a 64-yard touchdown pass that tied the game up. Okay. Minus 64. After those 2 plays, they had 122 yards. So 2 plays is about 130 or 142 yards. What did I say? 78, 142 yards. And the other 2 and all the other plays are 122 yards. All right. That's how good the defense is. We'll get into that later on as well. All right. The game starts off, rain out. JMU wins the toss. Louisville goes 3 and out, like run, incompletion. In fact, run, sack, right? They did nothing. Then they do a double pass. And the wide receiver's wide open, coming across from the right to the left. And when I mean wide open, I'm talking zip code, area code. No one within 10, 15 yards of him. Overthrown. Easy touchdown. It should have been 7-0 in a minute and a half. Probably a little bit longer because it was 3 running plays. So let's see when that play. Let me see if I get a time when that play was. Exactly when that play was. 12:43. So 2.5 minutes, less than 2.5 minutes into the game. It should have been 7-0. All right. It gets to be 7-0 because Jeff Brom, who did his best to try to lose this football game, goes for it on his own 40-yard line, 39-yard line technically, and is stuffed 4th and 1. All right. JMU it's like the longest 39-yard drive in the history of college football, like 5-minute drive. And they go in for a touchdown. The ensuing drive, Miller Moss almost picked off. They end up getting a field goal out of it, but it should have been 6 the other direction. At minimum, an interception. Not quite a pick 6, though. You'll hear me refer to the pick 6 throws that should be torn out of all playbooks. Pick 6 throws is from one hash to the far sideline, whichever hash you happen to be on. In this case, Miller Moss happened to be in the middle of the field. He was directly in the middle between the 2 hash marks. And I'm not even sure he threw it all the way to the sideline, but he was throwing it towards the sideline. Still should have been picked off. And if properly executed, it's for a touchdown. Still could have been 14-0. And then who knows where you go from there. Instead, they drove down and makes it 7-3. In fact, the defense actually did a good job, I believe, on the same drive. Let me see if we got that field goal, where they get the field goal, because they stopped him inside the 1. Yeah, I believe it was 2nd and 4. Miller Moss pass, short right, incomplete, intended for Chris Bell. Elijah Culp dropped it. All right. Then there's a couple of situations where they let it get away from them. They scored another field goal at the end of the half when they got away with a 3rd and 15 on a sack. They sacked him on 2nd down, made it 3rd and 15. Louisville, little wide receiver bubble screen, gets 12 yards. They convert on the 4th and 3. They end up getting 3 points out of it. This could have been a huge first half lead. All right. And to say Bob Chesney was perturbed with the loss, I mean, he said we lost it. He given all praise to Louisville, and a lot of times they would have 2nd or 3rd and short, and then all of a sudden get a penalty, and now they're in 3rd and 10, and the offensive line could not block the Louisville defensive line, who's also very good, by the way, long enough to allow Alonza Barnett to do it. So this was absolutely a coulda, shoulda, woulda ball game for JMU. They could have won this ball game, maybe should have won this ball game. And if they execute a couple of plays, it doesn't have anything to do with the coaching, all right? Doesn't have anything to do with the officiating. If the players make the plays, they win the ball game. Right? It could have been, even after not executing the double pass, it still was 7-0, and you still could have had a pick 6. It still could have been 14-0. And then Louisville's on the heels, and who knows what happens. All right. Now, having said that, it was still 14-6. Great drive to open up the half. And then Miller Moss finds Chris Bell for the 64-yard touchdown. Even after an opening drive by JMU. And they couldn't get anything going after that. And again, they kept on backing themselves up. It looked like they had a first down. Felt like there was a weak holding call. He missed him. He tried to tackle him, but he missed him. It was nowhere near the quarterback. And instead of 1st and 10 out by like the 25, it's 3rd and 10 at the 5, and Barnett fumbles in the end zone. All right. I mean, a couple of times, I'm not sure about Alonza Barnett third's pocket awareness. I mean, one time he's looking straight at the blitz coming at him, and he just doesn't react. Like, you can pump fake. The guy's going to jump, right? Something. He just ate it. So, an opportunity missed for JMU. Okay. And based on what Bob Chesney says, they're going with the 2 quarterback dealio. That's not going away. He basically said, for us to be successful, that's what's going to have to be. We'll talk about that when we come back. All right. After I tell you about Mazda. You can just move through life, or you can find the things that move you. It's your choice. You can choose to get out there, choose your people. You can choose to go for it, like really go for it, just to do something that moves you. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. Some good numbers this week. I really do think about you. And if you haven't noticed, you are one of the people who do watch and listen. We did put the audio podcasts on first thing in the morning, so they're up and loaded when you get up. All right. And not when I get up, when you get up. So video starts at 7 a.m. Eastern. Podcasts are 4 a.m. Eastern. So they're available when you get up. All right. There did not seem to be any rhyme or reason with the JMU 2 quarterback system. Barnett came out there to begin the first series. I think he went 3 and out. And, well, they did go 3 and out. And I didn't understand that. I get the fake pass. Okay. But I've been told they have a stable of running backs. And maybe the Louisville defensive line is good. All right. Bob Chesney said it was good. It looked really good. They had a tough time getting the run. Let's see what they averaged in the whole game. All right. Average yard per rush, 2.7. Not great. All right. But they didn't seem to want to establish the run. I think, I don't know, 5 out of the first 6, maybe 6 out of the first 7 plays. I don't think a running back got the ball. Kept on being pass. I didn't understand it. Or Sluka running it. That's different. I didn't even mind a 2-quarterback system. I minded not establishing the run with the running back. Right? You don't have to be Bill Belichick, right, to figure out when Matt Sluka comes in, he's going to run a football. Kind of gives the play away. So I want to establish the run with a running back. But it didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason who would be the quarterback or whatever the case would be. Doesn't understand it. And I will put up the video of talking about the 2-quarterback system. I did ask if it's predetermined, like he's going to go in on the next play type of deal. I don't cover it on a daily basis, so I don't know. Try to ask an open-ended question. He goes, it's based on the game plan. Well, I don't know what that means. I asked what the game plan was, and he doesn't explain it. But he did say moving forward, it's going to be that way. They think they need the 2-quarterback system. All right. Alonza Barnett, again, a lot of balls tipped at the line of scrimmage. Again, that defensive line is really good. Here's the problem in my favor that he does, and Bob does talk about they needed to chip a little bit. And tough to do this when it's 3rd and 10, right? You need a little bit of time. You need to adjust though if we can't block him for 3rd and 10, right? We need at least time for the wide receivers to run the 10 yards or so to complete it, because we're all stupid enough. We all yell at the coaches, why are we throwing it 4 yards when it's 3rd and 10? We all say that at the TV. All right. But one of the better plays that Louisville ran, although it only ended up as a field goal, and they did convert on a 4th and 3. I think this was on their 3rd. They had 3rd and 15. They did a little sneaky tight end screen, right? Right in the middle of the field, because they anticipated the blitz, all came up to you. All right. Nobody's in the middle of the field. Wide open. Dumped it off, ran for 19 yards. It was a great play call. Well executed, great play call. Didn't see anything like that. Right? Some screen passes. Bring everybody in. All right. And then the one time, until at the end of the game when he started throwing it around, the one time that Sluka went back to pass, corner blitz game, and they were waiting for it, and it wasn't picked up. So then he's running for his life and, had to throw it away. But they're going to keep on doing that 2-quarterback system. I'll have to watch more closely. I don't know if I'm going to stay here and tell you I'm going to break down film or anything like that. Like, what? Write down the down and distance. When is it Barnett? When is it Sluka? Obviously, Sluka is not going to be in there too often on 3rd and 10. But it is a little bit tough to ask Barnett after Sluka goes in there and gets, 4 yards on 1st down and a couple yards on 2nd down, and then is illegal procedure on 3rd down, and now we're back to 3rd and 10. Now you go get it. That's not really fair to the kid. That's not really fair. Now, a couple of times he did. There were a couple of fantastic catches. Nick DeGennaro had a one-handed grab. Even my nephew, the Samo, who is as big as Cardinals fan as there is, he's like, spectacular grab on Twitter. He was like, oh my God, what a catch. One-handed, left-handed catch at that. I don't know if he's left-handed or not, but it was a one-handed, left-handed grab. So he made a spectacular catch. Did he lead? Let's see, JMU in receiving. Let's see. Ellis had 3 catches, 55 yards. DeGennaro, 3 catches, 31 yards. Noah had more than 3 catches tonight. All right, let's see. Barnett, 15 of 25, 102 yards. I mean, Sluka, 3 of 5. And the 5 yards are probably all at the end of the ballgame, right? He did throw an interception. But Miller Moss wasn't that good. 13 of 23 for 151 yards. 1 pass, 64. So, that still counts. You get it. Right? But out of the 23 passes, 1 went for 64 yards. The other 22, went for about 90. Not great, Bob. That defense is really good. All right. But we'll see how this 2-quarterback system goes. JMU has the week off next week. They get Liberty, but they're going to have to learn how to put up some points. All right. We'll talk about this defense coming up next, but they need to learn how to put up some points. And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to the defense, but eventually the coordinators on the opposing team are going to know what's coming. When Sluka is in there, here's what's eventually they're going to try and do, and you got to defend it. I don't know how you're going to do it, because even I can see Louisville's putting 10 in the box with 1 safety back. Can you play action that, and can you hit it when it's 1-on-1? Is that safety going to be able to cover that wide receiver, or is the wide receiver going to get past the safety? And when you have that one shot, can you complete the pass? Does it go for a touchdown? Does it go for 40 yards? Does it go for 50 yards? Or is it incompletion, or is it intercepted? You get that one time, because you're probably not going to get it more than once. They'll be ready for it the second time. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a time out. Again, hashtag always bright side. You guys know I feel that way. This Dukes defense is really good. All right. I don't know what Jeff Brom said, but they pushed around that Louisville offensive line for most of the night. Isaac Brown ripped off a 7 to 8 yard touchdown run at the end of the night, but that was about all they did, along with the Chris Bell touchdown. But they were really good most of the night. We'll talk about that when we come back, after I tell you about DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. In fact, it is the weekend. Time to look back to last week and crown another MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. All right, we've given you a few MVPs. How about Bishop Davenport? All right. Did start last year's bowl game. Made a couple of starts last year when Gio Lopez was banged up. Pretty efficient ball game. 12 out of 14, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, and 3 carries. And actually, looks like he lost some yardage. But in the air, he was pretty good. Very efficient in the air. In the Jaguars' 38-21 win over Morgan State, it is going to get much more difficult against John Summerall and the Tulane Green Wave this weekend. Let's see if Bishop Davenport can move it up a little bit. All right. For the South Alabama Jaguars and Bishop Davenport, he delivered in a big way against Morgan State. When the pressure was on, there was no hesitation, no delay. And you've been watching, his performance was not a fluke. He played really well in the bowl game, and he played well in the season opener, Bishop Davenport. And just like Bishop Davenport delivered for South Alabama, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order today. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Good thing it is Saturday, as it's turned to Saturday. We get to sleep in a little bit. It's Bourbon Fest. We're going to be slammed later today. Again, if you are in the area, come on by. We had some good tours yesterday, and looking forward to it again on Saturday. All right, the Dukes defense, again, is going to be really good. All right. Again, we gave some numbers. What were the numbers? What did I say? JMU had 264 yards. All right. 2 plays were 142 yards. I'm sorry. Yeah, 142 yards. No. They had 122 on the rest of their plays. That's how good they were. All right. They were in Miller Moss's face all day long. Let's see what Isaac Brown had. All right. Isaac Brown had 12 carries, 104 yards. All right. Overall, that's outstanding. All right. That seems like a good day, except when you do 104 minus 78, you get 26. So he had 11 carries. Yeah, he's got an average there of 8.7, except on his first 11 carries, he had 26 yards. Although I don't know that's true because I was on the field and couldn't see at the end of the game. So I don't know what he did at the end of the game. But now the one matters. I get it. That counts. But it's not like he was running 3 yards a pop or 4 yards a pop or 5 yards a pop. Now he popped a big one, really big one, and he's good. Isaac Brown's good. But the defense held him in check for 95% of the game. All right. Now, if you hold him in check at the time, you may get the ball back and have a chance to win it. It was only 20-14 at the time. All right. Oddly enough, crazy. They go for 2 in the middle of the third quarter, which they shouldn't have, to tie the ball game up. Then they try to kick it when they go up 20-14 and they get a bad snap. Crazy. Is that karma? So it was 20-14. All right. Let's see who else had big battle games. Chris Bell, again, 4 catches, 83 yards, but 1 was 64. So he had 3 catches for 19 yards. All right. Brown out of the backfield, 3 catches, 14 yards. Skinner, 2 catches, 23 yards. All right. My guy, Colin Lacey, 2 catches, 12 yards. Stewart, 1 catch, 15 yards. Again, Miller Moss just didn't have a big ball game, right? That's how good this defense really is. Should have had they did get 1 fumble on a strip sack of Miller Moss. I don't know why I keep on calling him Miller Moss. It feels like I have to say his full name instead of just Moss. I don't know why I have to say Miller Moss. You could take it from the other side, win and move on. That's a hard-fought win by Louisville, right? If you want to look at it from that way, as upsetting as it is that JMU did not win, you look at it from the other side, it could absolutely have been a loss for Louisville, and they ended up winning by 2 scores. Now, they were looking at a bad beat segment, depending on what line you got. I saw a line at the end was 14.5. But if you got 13.5 on Louisville and JMU scored at the end, you would have lost. But, some guys are telling me in the first quarter they got 14.5. Now we won. But can you wait until the end of the game? Do we have to announce how good teams are looking in the first 5 minutes of these games? Jeez, it's unbelievable. But I will say this JMU defense is looking good. So we'll see how they do against Liberty. Let me see if we got defensive sacks. Let's see who we got here. You got Weathersby, who had 7 tackles. He had a sack. Thomas, he had the forced fumble. Jacob Thomas. He was really good. They had 8 tackles for loss. That's a lot. That's a ton, right? That's against Louisville. All right. Louisville will tell you that they should be playoff team. And they had 8 tackles for loss. This defense is going to be spectacular to watch. All right. If they can get a little bit of offense, or maybe they go and start thinking about, playing a Tulane style offense, and that maybe we just run it a little bit and kick it because you're not going to be able to score. Who's their hardest opponent left after Liberty. They're taking on Georgia Southern, who may lose by 50 to USC. Then they get Georgia State. They get the Cajuns with the backup quarterback. We'll see what Old Dominion is by then. They're at Texas State. That's going to be tough. I mean, Marshall, that's either the end of October or November. Let me see what the date is technically. That's November 8th. So we'll see. Marshall could be a different team. App State could be pretty good. They do get Washington State in there, and then they're at Coastal. So especially with that Cajuns ball game, not nearly as, big we think, because we have no idea what the Cajuns are going to be now that Walker Howard is out. I can say, I don't know what they were saying, but there was obviously frustration following the ball game. I did post the video of Bob Chesney following the game. And I mean, he said, as much as he was trying to give Louisville credit, he said, we lost this game, right? And again, coulda, shoulda, woulda. How many penalties did they have? He was not happy with the penalties. They had a bunch of penalties, all right? Is it not there? It doesn't. Oh, penalties. 12 penalties for 104 yards. And that's the thing. When you're a G5 school playing against a P4 school and a pretty good Power 4 school, right? You don't necessarily have to play a perfect game, but you really have to limit the mistakes. And when you get the chance to execute, you have to execute. You can't miss the wide open receiver on a double pass, right? You can't drop the pick 6 ball. You can't fumble in the end zone. That is 21 points, all not on your side of the ball. Technically 20 because they missed the extra point, but nonetheless, that's what you can't do. And that's what, unfortunately, they did. And that's how you lose 28-14. No. They could have won that ball game. They probably should have won the ball game. And if they would have executed on just a couple of plays, you could even give up the 78-yard touchdown run, and you could have given up the 64-yard touchdown pass. You still could have won that football game. All right. We're going to take the weekend off in terms of doing another episode. Who am I watching tomorrow night? I'm going, actually, my friends are in town for Bourbon Fest. So we'll see we'll see whatever I'm doing on the phone. I'm going out to dinner Saturday night. So see what I come back and watch on Sunday. I don't even have a day off Monday. My next day off is on Wednesday. So I'm working a lot of days in a row there. Is that like 6 days in a row? What is that? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That is a lot in a row. If you want to consider working at the distillery work. So it is what it is. But thanks for tuning in. Got a big response for the instant recap, so that's good. And we'll see what the response is for this episode on Saturday. But we'll have a full recap on Monday. It's not starting off great for the Sun Belt. All right. I wasn't sure that they were going to win this football game. Probably didn't think they would. I thought they could have made it closer. All right. They could have been, even if they lose at 20-14, that's, then are you more upset if you're JMU if you lose this ball game 20-14? Oh man. Then maybe I'm even more hot. I'm more hot. All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend. I know I'm going to enjoy mine, and I'll be back on Monday. You've been watching Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day.